Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Cindy. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I saw this title and I'm like, yeah, we're going to check this together. And the title is England was too expensive until we found this city. Now, I am curious what city this is. So, yeah, uh, we're going to check this video together and I would love your thoughts and your contribution in the comment section below. Let's get into the video.
We couldn't afford London, we couldn't stay in Greece, Albania nearly broke us, and we were running out of Schengen days fast. So how did our family of three, traveling full-time on a budget, end up living for a month inside a 2,000-year-old walled city in England? And how the hell are we making it work financially? Let's talk about how we pulled this off, how it's actually working financially, and whether England could ever become our permanent home. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Shauna, and recently me, my husband, and our preteen son sold our Florida home, our car, and everything we owned and booked one-way tickets to Europe. We're in pursuit of what I consider the new American dream: better healthcare, a lower cost of living, and an escape from the American hustle culture. To understand why we ended up here, you need to first understand the Schengen Shuffle. It's the thing that nobody tells you about before you decide that you're going to slow travel through Europe. Most of the affordable, iconic countries that all of us dream of going to when we think of traveling through Europe, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Switzerland, they're all part of what's called the Schengen Zone. And as Americans, we are only allowed to be inside that entire zone for 90 days out of every 180. Not 90 days per country, 90 days total in all of them combined. That's a hard wall, and when you hit it, you're out. So we had to get creative about where we travel and when. We spent 2 months in Spain and our Schengen clock was ticking, so we moved to Albania. Albania is not Schengen, and it was great for our Schengen shuffle clock and our wallets, but it turned out to be not so great for our mental health. So then we squeezed 3 weeks out of Greece before we were completely out of days. And then we needed somewhere to land that wasn't in the Schengen zone and also not going to destroy our budget and was going to protect our mental health. Now, when most people think of England, they think of London. And London has been on my bucket list my entire life. But
Exactly. And I love that clarification of that part because when people hear England, they say, oh, it's London. They don't want to hear any other thing. And I believe there are other places in England aside London, right? There are big cities like Manchester, Birmingham, a whole lot of other places. These are the few that I could remember at the top of my head because sometimes when you're talking about it, you just remember only a few, but there are tons of other places aside England. And I believe this video would come in really useful for lots of people who are looking to travel or looking to visit other places or who are looking also to relocate to other places as well. Let me know what you think about this video.
Let me tell you about what the cost of Airbnbs look like in London.
It's going to be expensive.
Desperately scouring Airbnbs in London for hours a day, trying to make it work because I really wanted to go to England. We weren't ready to leave Europe yet, but we needed to be out of the Schengen area. And it is the peak of summer. But with all of that said, I could not find an Airbnb for less than $10,000 a month. And these were on the lower $10,000 budget, $8,000 to $10,000. It was typically like studio apartments that didn't offer anything. And we're a family of three and we need at least 2 bedrooms. On top of that, the US dollar to pound conversion is not in our favor. We are paying about 30% more for everything we see. Groceries, transport, eating out, lodging, it all hits harder here. So I started asking a different question. Not how do we afford London, but rather, where in England could offer us the full experience without the London price tag?
Yes.
I went deep into research mode. I looked into cities like Bath, Cambridge, Bristol, Durham, and Canterbury. All of them look like beautiful cities. But then I found York, and I couldn't even believe I had never heard of the city before. York is a 2-hour train ride north of London, and it might be the most beautiful city I've ever seen in my life. It's one of the, or maybe the only walled city in Europe. And you can
Oh.
literally walk the entire parameter of the city on the ancient Roman walls. The architecture
Hmm.
is aggressively Gothic, old preserved buildings everywhere, narrow mid.
I have to pause it here because I want to say something. One thing I love about um, I want to say Europe per se, but I also want to say in UK because when you think about their structure, their houses, and even the road is just unique. Like it's giving you this modern vibe, but still giving you like the old century vibe, and it's just a mix and miss, a mix and match, just like a balance. So you're not too far apart from history. You're still very close to home in modernity and all of that. It's just beautiful. I know I'm not the only one in this. I always think about it that way.
Medieval streets, beautiful gardens to wander, a plethora of museums to explore. And we could go to a new pub every single day for a full year and still not see and experience all of the pubs in the city.
Yeah.
We really appreciate a good pint around here. It's also one of the most haunted cities in Europe, so a ghost tour is definitely in order for us, and I'll let you know how that goes. This is actually the first country Shane and I have walked through so far and actually said, I could live here. But for our budget, it's still high, even being half the cost of London. We did find a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in the middle of the city of York for $4,500 for a month. We have been trying to stay within a $2,000 to $2,500 a month budget for Airbnb stays, and we spent a lot less in Albania. However, England has been on our bucket list. So we've decided to call this one our vacation part of the year. And the cost should average out when everything is said and done and we look at the full spectrum of the Airbnbs we've stayed at for the entire year. And a heads up, I will be doing a financial reveal of everything that we spent on travel and day-to-day living after the year is over. Also, I will confess that we have already made a lot of mistakes, so it'll be interesting to see how that looks. Grocery costs in England, however, still seem to be within the same range of the grocery costs that I was having to pay in both Spain and Greece. All of which are much less than the cost of what I was paying for groceries in the States. In Spain, Greece, and England, we purposefully booked Airbnbs that were within walking distance of the grocery chain Lidl. I get hate for grocery shopping at Lidl, and if you're in the US, it's a lot like Aldi, but even better. It's extremely affordable, and I can get quality food there too. One of our viewers once commented that Lidl is quote unquote the grocery store for poor people. And I don't know what's wrong with that. And why are we all not trying to get our groceries at an affordable price?
Exactly. Like for me, I'd rather go grocery shopping for, at the place, the affordable price, than for me to go all high and mighty to go like, excuse you. I understand everyone is gonna feel differently about it, but yeah, some people can be cheap. But again, I always believe in affordability, right? And it makes a lot of sense. What do you think?
Should probably sponsor me because I talk about them so much on these videos.
They should.
I consistently paid between $120 and $150 a week for groceries in both Spain and Greece, and I cook most of our meals. We've only been in England for a week, but it looks like I'm going to consistently keep that average, even with the 30% markup of the conversion of pounds to US dollars. I looked up the average cost of groceries for people in the United States, and it's $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month to feed 3 people for 30 days. That's insane.
Wow.
And all of that food is packed with chemicals and additives that are banned here in Europe. I should probably do a whole nother video about that. And honestly, that cost was about right. I looked at our spending last year and it looked like we averaged about $250 a week for groceries for the 3 of us. But inflation's still going, and so I'm sure it's even worse now. While my YouTube channel is new, I've actually run Taking on Ordinary as a blog off and on for the last decade. My focus has always been frugal living, making things from scratch, and just getting the most value out of everything. When I first started my blog 10 years ago, I used to do challenges where I would try to get our groceries for $30 a week. $30, like barely $100 a month. Yes, that was a frugal life, but also it was possible for us to get groceries for $30 a week 10 years ago. So, all of that said, we're spending half of that $1,000 a month here in Europe, and we're eating food that is fresher and filled with less preservatives and way better on our digestive systems. And all of that thanks to Lidl. I want to talk about something that I didn't think would matter as much as it did when we decided to slow travel the world. We were beginning to feel socially isolated from the language barriers. In Spain, Albania, and Greece, the locals were incredibly kind, and most people spoke enough English for us to get by. So in our day-to-day life, the language barrier wasn't as big of a hurdle as I was expecting it to be. When we started with Spain, we all learned enough Spanish to get by with ordering food at restaurants and checking out at grocery stores and reading labels on things. And in Albania and Greece, I was surprised to discover that most of the people that we interacted with spoke some English. But there was still this low-grade isolation. We were surrounded by conversations we couldn't follow. I couldn't make conversations standing in the grocery store lines or when we were sitting on park benches. In some places, I couldn't read the labels on food in the grocery stores without having to first pull out Google Translate. In fact, when we were in Albania, I spent probably 30 minutes trying to find baking soda at the grocery store Conad, and I ended up having to get out my Google Translate on my phone and just read every individual label on everything I saw in the
Wow.
baking aisle. And I was translating from Albanian to English, only to discover that some of it I had to translate from Italian to English because that Conan grocery store imported a lot of its products from Italy. There's basically a scavenger hunt we have to go on in each country. There's where's the pain medication? Where do they put the lotion? Do I wait to be seated at this restaurant or do I seat myself? Do I tip? If so, how much do I tip? Is this a full grocery store? Is this just a convenience store? And being in England has been, as a result, a relief on my mental health that I wasn't expecting. I can just ask, I can read everything, I can make small talk with a stranger while I'm waiting in line at Lidl. My son can just walk up to other kids and say, "Hi, you want to play?" There's actually a trampoline park here, and we took him this past week. And it was so nice watching him volunteer to play with other kids and ask them to play. You know, being in all of these countries, we've been trying to convince them that play is universal. Like, even if they don't understand you, you can just like show them your basketball or whatever and they'll get it, right? Like, every kid knows play. But I think just because they didn't speak the same language, there was this level of anxiety that he had that just shut him down. And that was
I want to also say something now. This is the reason why I love watching videos like this because, again, other people I always say everyone's experience is going to be different, and lots of people may not have similar experiences at all, regardless of when people put out videos like this. And people put out videos like this to share their experience based on what they currently they have dealt with or they sort of enjoyed and what worked for them. Again, everyone's own is going to be different. Now, I've got to ask you this question because I've seen more lots of people travel to Albania, some for vacations and all of that. I want to hear your thoughts and your experience in the comment section below because when you see some things, I also want to believe because of language barrier or a lot of times people just go for vacation or for short stay and all that. Lots of people prefer to go to countries that speak the exact same language as them. But hearing this, I also want to ask a question. If you are a foreigner who sort of traveled or live in England, what was it like comparing to where you're coming from? I'm talking about like the food and the groceries. How much does it cost for you now that you live in the England, or live in England or live in the UK per se, compared to where you used to live? Because again, when it comes to groceries, it's always going to be different for different people based on their family size, what they eat, how often they eat at home, and all of that. So I'll leave your thoughts in the comment section below.
Really hard to watch. So watching that disappear just this week has been huge. Now, I had been warned that England would maybe not be as safe as the rest of Europe. A few people actually messaged me about it. And then the day after we had flown into the Manchester airport, I read a news article about the airport having to partially shut down because of some kind of riot a guy decided to start with the police. So we missed that by a day. But honestly, walking around York has felt just as safe as it did when we were walking in Estepona,
Mm.
Spain, or in Corfu, Greece. Safer than when I walked anywhere in the US, for sure. The people here are interesting. It's funny because growing up in the southern part of the US, I was taught that it's polite when you're passing people, if you're walking on the streets or in the parks, wherever you're walking in a public place and you're passing strangers, you nod at them, like make eye contact and nod or say hey. And I've learned so far that that is not true in I don't think any other part of the world. And I was getting enough dirty looks when we first started out in Spain from doing that that I stopped and I quickly got used to just minding my business and passing people. So much so that when we were in Albania, I was walking down the street one day and there was a Mormon missionary, a Jehovah's Witness, one of those, was passing me and he looked at me and said hello. And my immediate thought was, what a weirdo. Why is he talking to me? But when we got here in England, it's like my mind shifted back to my southern ways. Maybe it's because everyone's white and speaks English, but I just automatically started doing it again, making eye contact with people and nodding, and they give me the same look that I was giving the guy in Albania, like, you're weird, go away. I guess it's actually kind of creepy to say hello to strangers in the street, isn't it? But the moment we speak to
No.
anyone here, they're kind and awesome. It's like a social contract that we're not used to, but it's a good one. The Uber driver that we took from Manchester to York was a Pakistani man that actually does a lot of traveling himself. We spent the whole ride talking with him about his journeys and experiences around the world. At the end of our ride, he gave me his personal Instagram to follow and offered several times for us to like meet up with him if we're ever here again for a pint at the pubs, or even if we needed to stay with him in his flat. It's the kind of thing that in the South we say, like, hey, we should get together sometime, or you should come over for dinner sometime, or if you're ever in town, you should come and stay at my place. But most Southerners don't actually mean that, and this guy definitely meant it. Here's something else I didn't expect. England gives off strong American vibes in some ways, and it's
Let me also say this because when it comes to people's culture, people's way of life, everyone's is going to be different, right? And sometimes the reason why I'm saying this is because we get lots of people, and I'm not talking about her case. We hear lots of people who, when they go to some place, it's they find it really hard for them to adjust because where they're coming from had they had a whole lot of different experience, and now going to a new place, their experience is entirely different. It's just so difficult for them, for some people to just make that easy, that transition or that switch, while for some it's just up quick and easy to say, oh, I'm nowhere anywhere back home. Now that I'm here, let's just vibe or let's just get together and all of that. And together with the fact that I always have this mental psychology that when in Rome, behave like the Romans. Does that also apply to you, or you're a bit really cautious to say, hold up, wait, I need some time for me to really blend in instead of me to blend in and all of that? I love your thoughts in the comment section below.
both weird and comforting. On the ride from Manchester, we passed multiple McDonald's and Starbucks. Sometimes they were linked together in a little shopping center, and I even saw one Popeye's chicken. It was like a culture shock that I haven't had in months. Now, I still prefer the local pubs and the tea shops to all of those chains, but it was oddly comforting to be within the vicinity of them again. It's like a little bridge from where we came from and where we are now. The weather is very different than I'm used to, and I knew that coming in. It's overcast and rainier than I would like. Shane and I actually moved from Alabama to Florida 6 years ago because we wanted to specifically escape the rain and the gloomy weather. So the
Wow.
irony of falling in love with a place that has both cloudy days and cold winters is not lost on me. But I did hear York during the holidays is really beautiful, and
Hmm.
we might have to come back and see it during Christmas time. They apparently just really go all out with Christmas markets and the holiday lights. Every place we go to in the world, I ask myself, could we live here? Because we don't want to be nomads forever. We want to find a solid home base or a summer and a winter home that we rotate between. And in all of the places that Shane and I have both lived in and traveled to our entire lives, none have ever felt like home or like a place that we belonged in. It's part of why we left Florida. We're on this expedition to see if there's anywhere in the world where we could actually feel at home. Spain was beautiful and we definitely want to return, but I don't think we could ever live there. Albania is a hard pass. Sorry, guys. I really wanted it to work out, but it just wasn't the right place for us. And Greece, same as Spain. I definitely want to go visit again, and I want to go visit multiple times. I would even stay an extended period of time. It doesn't feel like home to me. So, England is the first place we've come across so far where we looked at it and said, I could live here. But there are real hurdles. The cost of living is high. The exchange rate does not work for us, and immigration for the UK is not simple. They don't have any digital nomad visas. I don't think the politics are any better here, and the weather. But it is cozy and comfortable here. The architecture makes you feel like you're walking through a novel. The pace of the city is busy but
Yeah.
not chaotic. It's a culture that values both history and preservation. The food has genuinely surprised me. There has been a lot of diversity. We see all kinds of
Marrakesh.
different
Okay.
restaurants, and I even see all kinds of different cuisine offerings in the grocery store. So maybe it'll become a place that we slow travel to for longer, like maybe 3 to 6 months. But we'd also have to make a boatload more money in order to stay here for that long. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll be here for a full month, so I look forward to letting you know how I feel about everything after that time has passed. There is so much to do here, and between paid and unpaid attractions. So I'll let you know what all we end up doing here and what we loved. I'll also let you know how we do with our wallets, with the cost of living day to day like residents, but also trying to do some tourist stuff. If you're new here and this is the kind of honest, budget real, messy nomad life that resonates with you, please hit that subscribe button so you can continue to follow along. Also, if you've been to York or maybe you're from York and you found my video, please let me know what all we have to do while we're here, whether it's pubs or restaurants we have to visit, attractions we have to see. Let me know all of it. And let me know what places outside of York in this country we need to see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Also interesting to watch and all. I love the part where she spoke about walking down or walking on the road. Is so the buildings, the castle somewhat feel like you're in a novel. Like it's hard for you not to fall in love with the UK. It's hard for you to visit the UK and not just fall in love with it because again, like we talked about earlier, is like it's just this bridge, and I love the preservation of history. I for one, am someone who loves history, and I love that you're seeing this mix and match of history and modernity. It's just beautiful, and it just gives you like that sense of home and sense of peace. And again, like she said, like working in like you're in the novel. So every time you just have this like it's beautiful. For me, it's beautiful because tons of videos that I've seen, it seems like is one peaceful, beautiful place to visit and all that stuff. But I love your thoughts in the comment section below. Again, everyone's experience is obviously going to be different. Some people who are from York would have a different experience compared to this. I've heard of York, but I don't think lots of other people have been very vocal talking about York per se. But I've heard about York as well. But let me know what you think. Have you visited York before, or is there any part of England or UK you have visited that you think caught your eye, that you would also want others to visit or have a good time or good vacation? And I would love you to share that in the comment section below. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.